Have you ever wondered how a man once considered a failure could become one of the greatest leaders in world history? Welcome, as we unravel the enigma that is Winston Churchill. A figure shrouded in both glory and controversy, Churchill's rise to power is a story that captivates and intrigues. It's a tale of resilience, of transformation, and of unyielding determination. It's an enigma, one that defies the conventional wisdom of success. Churchill, a man who tasted the bitter sting of failure early in his life, would later become a beacon of hope and strength for a nation on the brink of despair. He was a man of many faces, a writer, a soldier, a statesman, but above all, a leader. A leader who, despite his many setbacks, never lost his resolve. So how did this happen? How did Churchill, against all odds, rise to the pinnacle of power? Join us as we step back in time to understand the making of this remarkable leader. The journey of Winston Churchill began on November 30th, 1874, in a grand palace in England. Born into the aristocratic family of the Dukes of Marlborough, his father was Lord Randolph Churchill, a charismatic politician who served as Chancellor of the Exchequer. His mother, Jenny Jerome, was an American socialite. As a young lad, Churchill did not exhibit the traits of a budding genius. He was known to struggle with learning, a fact that placed him in the lower rungs of his class at the prestigious Harrow School. It was here that he found his love for English language, a tool he would wield masterfully in the years to come. And yet, beneath the academic struggles, a leader was brewing. His schoolmates would often find themselves swayed by his compelling arguments and natural charisma, a foreshadowing of the influential figure he was destined to become. Somewhere between the hallowed halls of Harrow and the battlefields of his youth, Churchill cultivated a keen sense of perseverance. Despite his apparent learning difficulties, he never let them deter him. Instead, he used them as stepping stones, forging ahead with an unyielding spirit that would later define his political career. His early life was not without its trials and tribulations. His relationship with his parents was distant at best, and his father's premature death left a profound impact on him. Yet, these experiences served to mold his resilience, shaping the indomitable spirit and iron will that would steer Britain through some of its darkest hours. His childhood and early life were a crucible, forging the strength and determination that would carry him through the trials of the future. These formative years were filled with lessons, not just for Churchill, but for all who would follow in his footsteps. The seeds of his greatness were already present, subtly woven into the fabric of his being. However, like all seeds, they required time to sprout, to grow, and to eventually blossom into the towering figure that was Winston Churchill. The seeds of greatness were sown early, yet they would take time to sprout. Young Churchill was a man of action. He sought out danger and adventure, leading him to the battlefields. His life as a soldier began at the tender age of 20, when he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the 4th Hussars. The daring young man was not one to shy away from action. He found himself in the thick of it, from the dusty plains of India to the rugged terrain of the Sudan, and even the vast expanse of the South African veldt during the Boer War. It was during these early military years that Churchill's aptitude for strategic thinking and leadership began to shine. He was not just a soldier, but a thinker, a planner, a man with a knack for understanding the bigger picture. His experiences in battle shaped his perspective, influencing his later political career. He saw firsthand the brutalities of war, the cost of conflict, and the importance of diplomacy and strategy in preserving peace. While serving on the front lines, Churchill also discovered his talent for writing. His letters from the battlefield, full of vivid descriptions and thoughtful analysis, were published as dispatches in the newspapers back home. He was, in essence, a war correspondent, bringing the realities of war to the public. This was the start of his writing career, which would later include numerous books and speeches that have since become classics. As a soldier and a journalist, Churchill developed a deep understanding of international politics and military strategy. He saw the importance of strong leadership, of making tough decisions in the face of adversity. He learned the art of diplomacy, of negotiation, of understanding one's enemy. He learned to be resilient, to be brave, to stand up for what he believed in. The battlefield was his school, where he learned the art of war and diplomacy. His time as a soldier and journalist was more than just a chapter in his life. It was a foundation, a stepping stone that would lead him to his destiny. to become one of the most influential figures of the 20th century, Winston Churchill. With a pen in one hand and a vision for a better Britain in the other, Churchill stepped into the world of politics. Winston Churchill, the man synonymous with steadfast leadership, didn't have an easy start in politics. His career was marked by both triumphs and failures, and it was these experiences that forged the leader he would become. In the early 1900s, a young Churchill found his way into the political arena. His first role was as a Member of Parliament for Oldham, a position he won in 1908. It was a humble beginning for a man who would one day lead a nation. But Churchill's early political career was not without its challenges. He faced numerous defeats, including losing his seat in Manchester North West in 1922. His political journey was marked by a series of ups and downs, but it was his role during World War I that truly tested his mettle. Appointed First Lord of the Admiralty, Churchill was in charge of the British Navy, a position of great responsibility and pressure. The disastrous Gallipoli campaign, a failed naval attack on the Dardanelles, was a significant setback for Churchill. He was heavily criticised and subsequently resigned from his position. However, it was in the crucible of these early failures that Churchill honed his leadership skills. He learned the importance of strategic planning, decisive action, and most importantly, the courage to stand by his decisions. These experiences were invaluable, shaping him into a leader capable of facing the most daunting challenges. And face them, he did. Post-World War I, Churchill returned to politics. He held multiple positions, including Secretary of State for War and Air and Chancellor of the Exchequer, before eventually becoming Prime Minister. Each role brought with it new challenges and opportunities for Churchill to demonstrate his leadership. From the ashes of his political failures, Churchill rose like a phoenix, ready for the challenges that lay ahead. As the world stood on the brink of another war, Winston Churchill was more than ready to face it. At Britain's darkest hour, when World War II was at its peak, Churchill emerged as a beacon of hope. He stepped into the role of Prime Minister in 1940, a time when Britain was on the brink of defeat. With the nation's morale at an all-time low, Churchill's first task was to rekindle the spirit of the British people. Imagine the scene. Europe was in chaos, and the threat of invasion was imminent. But Churchill, with his characteristic resolve, refused to consider defeat. He rallied the nation with his stirring speeches, each word a defiant stand against the overwhelming forces of the Axis powers. In one of his most famous speeches, he declared, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, we shall never surrender." His words echoed in the hearts of the British people, turning fear into determination, despair into hope. But Churchill's role went beyond being a great orator. He was a strategic mastermind, working closely with his war cabinet and international allies to plan and execute military operations. His bold decision to launch the D-Day invasion, despite the risks, marked a turning point in the war. Throughout the war, Churchill's leadership was unwavering. He stared down at adversity, maintaining his resolve even when the odds were against him. His determination, his spirit, and his inspiring speeches galvanized a nation, giving them the strength to endure the hardships of war and fight for their freedom. And so, as the smoke of war began to clear, it became evident that Churchill's leadership had been instrumental in leading Britain to victory. He had not only guided his nation through its darkest hour, but also changed the course of history. Churchill, once considered a failure, had turned the tides of war, becoming a symbol of British resilience. His legacy as a wartime leader continues to inspire and remind us of the power of determination, courage, and the indomitable human spirit. As we look back, we see a man who was far from perfect, yet he was the perfect leader for his time. Winston Churchill, a man of many faces, a soldier, a journalist, a politician, and a prime minister, each role adding another layer to his rich tapestry of legacy. His leadership style was unique, marked by courage, resilience, and an unwavering resolve. His speeches, filled with fiery rhetoric and unyielding determination, stirred a nation and gave hope in the darkest of times. Churchill's impact on Britain was profound. His vision and leadership during World War II guided the nation through its bleakest hour to a hard-earned victory. His policies and decisions have shaped the Britain we know today, and his enduring legacy. It's evident in every corner of our modern world. His words still inspire, his actions continue to guide, and his spirit remains indomitable. Winston Churchill, a man of many contradictions, yet a leader whose legacy continues to shape our world today.